I never imagined that one cold text message would completely change the way I saw my family. My younger sister, Madison, sent me a single line that felt colder than ice. "Do not bother coming to my wedding. It is not your day." There was no phone call, no explanation, and no emotion. Just a message on my screen after I had spent months planning every detail of her dream wedding for free through my event planning business. Growing up, my family always treated Madison like she was the center of the universe. She received the praise, the attention, and every opportunity, while I quietly cleaned up every mess behind the scenes. I convinced myself that helping with her wedding would finally earn me respect, but instead, they treated me like unpaid staff. They expected me to organize vendors, solve every problem, and even pay extra bills without a single word of appreciation. When I refused to cover another expensive invoice, they acted like I was selfish instead of exhausted. The final blow came when my father called and asked me to contribute thousands of dollars toward a house gift for Madison and her fiancé. When I reminded him that I was no longer invited to the wedding, he brushed it aside and said, "Family should always help." That was the moment I realized they only remembered I was family whenever they needed something from me. A few days later, Madison called in complete panic because the wedding band had canceled. She demanded that I fix everything immediately, as if nothing had happened. For the first time in my life, I calmly told her no. I was no longer her wedding planner, and I was done sacrificing my peace for people who never valued me. That night, I reviewed every contract connected to the wedding. Since I had booked every vendor through my company, every agreement was legally under my business. After speaking with my lawyer, I learned that if the remaining balances were not paid before the deadline, I had every legal right to cancel the contracts and recover my deposits. The next morning, exactly 1 week before the wedding, I professionally notified every vendor that I would not be making the final payments. Within hours, the venue canceled, followed by the caterer, florist, and rental companies. My phone exploded with angry calls and desperate messages. Madison screamed that I had ruined her wedding, while my parents demanded I fix everything immediately. For the first time, I stayed completely calm. I reminded them that they had removed me from the wedding while expecting me to continue paying and working behind the scenes. I simply stopped supporting an event where I was no longer welcome. They had mistaken my kindness for obligation, and now they were facing the consequences of their own decisions. Instead of arguing, I packed my suitcase and flew to Hawaii. While I sat peacefully at the airport with a cup of coffee, my phone filled with more than 100 missed calls. Back home, the wedding collapsed into a last-minute backyard gathering with cheap decorations, pizza instead of a formal dinner, and disappointed guests leaving early. The perfect celebration my family had dreamed about disappeared because they had pushed away the one person holding everything together. Afterward, my parents tried blaming me through emails filled with guilt, but I never replied. The refunded deposit stayed with my business, allowing me to invest in new clients who respected my work and valued my time. Standing on a quiet beach in Hawaii, I finally understood something that had taken me years to learn. Real family does not measure your worth by how much you sacrifice for them. Walking away was not revenge. It was freedom. I did not destroy my sister's wedding. I simply stopped carrying it on my shoulders. That decision gave me something far more valuable than their approval. It gave me my self-respect, my peace, and the confidence to finally build a life where I would never again mistake being used for being loved.